Hey Indianapolis Motor Speedway fans, Doug Boles here with you again for another episode of Behind the Bricks. It's fall here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We've just completed the 2021 season. We can't wait for the 2022 season. But right now we're getting the facility winterized, getting ready to get through Indiana winter. But as you think about the Speedway, we think about a lot of things. Yard of bricks and this pagoda behind me. It's our iconic structure that people in racing and around the world know exactly where it is and what it means. But a lot of folks don't know, why do we have a pagoda at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? The track was built in 1909 by Carl Fisher. Wasn't built in 1909 with that pagoda, but by 1913 we had our first pagoda, and that pagoda lasted here until 1925. And the day after the 1925 Indianapolis 500, they burned it to the ground and built a new one in preparation for the 26 racing season. That pagoda stayed until 1956 or through the 56 race. And in 1957, the Master Control Tower, which is what I remember growing up the Speedway as the iconic structure here, stayed here until 1998. And then we began construction of this building, which was here in 1999, but completed in 2000. Why don't we go inside, take a look at what this building's about, and we'll continue to talk a little bit about how come it's so important to our history. Before we go in, one of the fun things that we've done over the last 10 plus years here at the Speedway is we've actually taken our winners of our events and put their faces on the pagoda. It's a nice way to celebrate those winners each year. So obviously Will Power picking up that win earlier this year. He's right there. AJ Allmendinger from the Brickyard Weekend and the first Verizon 200. In 2011, this was Dan Weldon because he won the Indianapolis 500 and he was here for the Brickyard Weekend. He was our Grand Marshal. We were actually walking down this stairway together and we stopped about halfway down and Dan looked over at this and saw this picture of Dan Weldon. He said, "Hey Doug, can you take my picture of me with me?" One of the coolest photos I have and the coolest memories I have of Dan standing here smiling with his photo on the back of the pagoda. But it's a cool way to celebrate those folks who win here. So we skipped the first floor of the pagoda because many of you know what's down there because you see it on race day. Our pace car room's down there as well as the pre-race room where the drivers walk out when they're introduced. So we're really on the second floor. This room now though is our green room. So when we're doing any kind of introductions, anything that takes place out on Victory Podium, those folks gather right here before they go outside. And we have the signature wall that we put up here several years ago. So a lot of the fun people who've been part of pre-race or who have visited the Indianapolis Motor Speedway actually signed this wall. I'll show you right here. We've got this here, Carson Wentz obviously here, our Colts quarterback, but then Matt Damon was here. And I point Matt Damon's name out because a couple of years ago when Christian Bale and Matt Damon came here, and we created a place for them so that they could enjoy the Indianapolis 500 and be part of pre-race. So this is a little special VIP room that we have here. So for those of you that sit in the paddock or the paddock penthouse, when you're here on race day, make sure you pay attention who's in this room because this is actually a cool space. But it is a place that we created so that when we have those special celebrities here, they can feel like they're part of the event. And then this connects right into race control. So our race control room, the wall that you see right here is a complete video wall. So you see everything that goes on in this room, all of the cameras on the track. You've got the folks here that can deploy ambulances, the folks here that can deploy any of the cleaning crews, so the sweepers, those things that need to be out there if we need to do any kind of track repair. It can be managed from up here. But this room is full of folks at any of our racing events, not just the IndyCar or the NASCAR races, but even things like the SCCA runoffs that we had this year. One of the neat things that USA Today did several years ago, they did an award for the most beautiful suite in sports. And actually this suite won that, and you'll see why when you look over the corner here in just a minute. You can look down over the front stretch of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the yard of bricks. So we've got about 85 seats right here for people that want to sit. And then around either end, there are stairways that go down to the 6th floor. And just outside on the 6th floor are the balconies so that people can actually step outside and watch the racing and get that feel of the noise instead of just being inside. All right, the last part, and maybe the most spectacular part of the Pagoda Tour, is heading up to the roof. So we're in the stairway. There's a couple of them here in the pagoda that actually lead up and down, but only one stairway gets you to the roof, and we're on that. Sometimes in the winter when it's really cold and I feel like I need a little exercise, I'll come out and walk up and down these stairs. And while there's only 10 floors here, it's technically 13 floors tall. So the roof is 153 feet above ground level. And then the top of the flagpole is 199 feet. We're going to see that. But we're going to walk up the last flight and a half of stairs basically to get ourselves up to the roof. Pretty cool thing, it happens when the flyover happens. There is somebody from each of these military branches that would be up here communicating with the pilots, listening to what's going on with the national anthem, trying to make sure we time it as best as possible. And a few years ago, a couple of these guys started, when they come in, they stick their stickers up here to say who did the flyover for us. So it's a lot of fun. The Thunderbirds were here a couple of years ago and they stuck theirs up there. Unbelievable, spectacular view of almost the entire facility. Certainly of all the passing corners on the road course you can see from up here. Beautiful view of downtown Indianapolis. And we're right now about on this platform, about 160 feet above the racetrack surface down there. And then above us, you can't see it very well, but the flagpole that goes up is 199 feet. Now, legend has it, and I think it's pretty true, we are in the flight path leading into the Indianapolis International Airport. So oftentimes when you're here, you see those planes landing. If this structure was over 200 feet, we had to get FAA approval, so we stopped at 199. So there you have it, Indianapolis Motor Speedway fans, a tour of this iconic pagoda, the third pagoda to be here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the fourth structure that we've had here that everybody around the racetrack, no matter where you sit, you get to see. So thanks for joining us on this episode of Behind the Bricks. We can't wait to see you during the 2022 IndyCar season and NASCAR season and race season here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks for being a fan. Stay tuned to IMS.com and all our social channels because we're going to keep you informed all winter long with fun stuff like a tour behind the pagoda. Take care.